guys, and welcome back to my channel. I wanted to open with this beer today. This is the Finest Kind IPA from Smelly Nose Brewing Company. It's a favorites video, and I wanted to open with my favorite beer of all time. Well, it's one of my favorite IPAs for sure. It's definitely like, it gives me comfort every time I drink it. But I'm not ready to open this one because I'm shooting 2 videos before work today. And I still haven't finished this one, and this one's also delicious and kind of a favorite. Southern Tier is like the brewery that I love the most for making beers inspired by baked goods. I guess it's a favorite in that sense. Anyway, today we're talking about my January favorites. I'm so excited to do this because, you know, I've had this channel for a little bit of a while, but I really want to this year kind of be more consistent about posting. I want to make lots of videos. And as you know, if you're a subscriber, I don't know if you're new here, but hello and welcome if you're new here. But I'm doing a no buy year because I have had a little bit of a shopping addiction in the past. So this year I'm doing a no buy year. I would like to start doing a favorites video every month as an experiment and to teach me to like the things that I already have, right? Like be very appreciative of the things that I already have rather than wanting new things all the time. So I'm really excited to do this first installment of that series, and we're going to talk about my January favorites. So let's go ahead and get into it. I guess I should go ahead and just start with the elephant in the room. One of my favorites of the month is something that's brand new. I actually just got this on Monday. I'm shooting this on Friday, but it's my new hair. It's a wig. I got it at Fufu's Beauty Supply in Springfield, and I love it. I think it's such a cool texture. I don't know if you've heard me complain on this channel about how much I have a grievance with my thin, sad hair, and with this hair, I don't have thin hair, I don't have sad hair, I have long hair, I have thick hair, I have full hair, and I love it. Oh my gosh, I look like such a different person, don't I? But I kind of love that about the whole deal. It keeps my head warm, which is nice in February. It's February 1st, by the way, that I'm shooting this, but it's just been nice to have a wig. I want to get back into wearing wigs. I used to wear them a little bit during high school, like in my senior year of high school, I wore wigs once in a while, and I want to get back into wearing them. And you know, instead of complaining about my thin, sad hair and trying to constantly like take vitamins and try Nioxin and have it not disappoint me, you know, it's cool to have thin hair because it's easy to hide it underneath a wig. So here I am wearing this wig, and I think I look awesome. I love this hair texture. It's like this weird kind of like crimped hair texture. I put some conditioner in it because yesterday when I wore it to work, it was really fluffy. It was like out here. Not exaggerating, that's what it looked like. As you can see, I barely had to touch it to get it to look like that. So it gets really fluffy, and it makes me sympathize with girls that have this hair texture, because it's just like, oh gosh, it gets so hot, it gets so frizzy, it gets so big, it gets so unmanageable. But, you know, it's fun experiment with this hair texture and hairstyle, and I'm really liking it. I feel like a different person. I feel like I look awesome. I feel like I look awesome. Let's keep talking about the favorites, shall we? Another one of my favorites from January is doing a project pan. This isn't all the things in my project pan, but I'm kind of keeping them inside this tree house box. But a couple of my project pan items right here, and I've just been loving experimenting like with these project pan things. I have been loving trying to use them in a variety of different ways, kind of pushing my creativity to use the products I already have. And products I have been using, because I picked these products specifically because I thought I could use them. It's products that I like, things that I think I can pan, and I should pan. That's like basically what went into me using these. So like on days where like, yeah, I'd like to wear eyeshadow, but I don't know, I don't want to do anything crazy, just want to do one all over the eyelid. I reached for my Modern Renaissance, and I feel like it already looks so much more loved even after just a little bit of a while of putting this into my project pan. Like, you can clearly see that Every shadow in here has been dipped into many times, so that's really awesome. I am wearing my Makeup Forever stick foundation, and I mixed it with my favorite Dior foundation today, and I feel like my skin looks awesome. My makeup looks awesome. I am loving it. If you watched my Project Pan video, you would have learned that I've like never really used this dip brow pomade, but I've been using it like constantly lately. I feel like there's a big contrast between my brows and this wig, but I love doing my brows with this. I'm learning so much about my makeup collection from doing the Project Pan, and I'm having so much fun with it so far. I'm wearing this primer today. I'm wearing this eyeliner today. I've been using my Hoola bronzer a lot as like a contour, and it's been working really great for that. I'm learning so much about these blush palettes. I talked about in my video that I had never really touched these palettes, but I'm realizing that this is like more of a neutral blush palette, and this one is very poppy. Like today I wanted kind of a little bit of a subtle blush, and I realized I couldn't really use this one, so I think I used the other one. But I'm glad that I have both of these because I have my poppy blush palette and I've got my more neutral blush palette, and I'm getting to know my products so much. I've been popping on Lumiere a ton lately too, and I've just been loving my Project Pan. I can't wait to keep going with it. Another thing for my Project Pan that I've been loving is my Becca Champagne Pipe. Of course, I added it to the Project Pan in the first place because it is one of my favorite highlighters. What I've been loving to do with this highlighter is to mix it with other highlighters. One of my favorite combinations that I have discovered, I've been loving to mix it with different shades from the Moonchild palette. Like I've been loving just discovering different mixtures and how they come out and how they turn out. One of my favorite mixtures that I'm wearing on my cheeks today is Becca's Champagne Pop mixed with Lucky Clover from the Moonchild palette, and it just gives this beautiful like golden antique-y kind of shine. You know, I love Lucky Clover on its own, but it's a very kind of like St. Patrick's Day cyberpunk kind of really very green. It's like the greenest highlighter I think that there is. It's a beautiful green highlighter, but when I mix it with Champagne Pop, it makes it a little bit more wearable, and I love it. The first time I wore it, I think I was with my serpentine goddess kind of look. I'm gonna be launching my beer blog at some point in February, but I did another installment of it. I've done 2. I haven't posted any of them yet. I'll leave it down in below if you guys want to check it out, but I wore it with my serpentine goddess look that I hope to be posting on my Instagram soon too, and it was just like beautiful. It was like wearable. It wasn't completely cyberpunky, but it was green. I went with my green eyeshadow beautifully. I've been loving mixing my Becca Champagne Pop with different highlighters. Another thing I haven't been able to put down this month is this brush set that I got in a Boxycharm back in November. I've been doing a 100 days of makeup project on my Instagram. Every couple of days I like to switch up the theme. And at first, you know, I did a red theme, I did a glitter theme, and now I'm doing a green theme. I've been using a lot of green products throughout the course of January. And I've been doing a lot of very elaborate eye looks, including the one I'm wearing right now. And I've been loving using these brushes. They're such a beautiful, tiny shape, but they're just the perfect amount of fluffiness to really move products around. But there's been so nice to get into those hard-to-reach areas and to really pull off those kind of intricate looks, especially because I'm realizing that my eyes are kind of small. So I do need kind of smaller brushes to kind of get in there and really make the eyeshadow looks look the way that I want them to. And these have helped me a lot. I love these brushes. Speaking of green eyeshadow looks, I discovered this month that I really love the look of like an all over the lid green mossy matte eye look. I unfortunately, you know, I don't want to endorse Kat Von D right now. I definitely don't plan on buying anything new from her this year. I feel like she has an opportunity to redeem herself. I feel like she can explain herself and make things better. And she hasn't done that yet. So up until then, I don't really want to endorse anything that she's selling. I haven't, you know, the truth is about this palette that I bought so long ago is that I've never really used it. Like I've used it like less than 10 times since I've bought it. But I did discover that I really like this is the mossiest green that I was able to find, and that's when I discovered that like I really love that look, the mossy green eye. I haven't been able to find a mossy green quite like it, but I think it is possible. Like for instance, in my Visart Dark Mattes palette, this one's pretty close, but it's not as mossy. It's a little bit darker, but they're just dupes out there. But I'll try to insert a picture of the look that I did of the all over matte green eye look. I thought that was just grungy and cool, matched with like a cool brown matte lipstick. I thought that was such a cool look. I loved it, and I think I wore it a couple other times. I tried to use this shadow to see if it was comparable. It was different, but it was comparable, to see if like I could do that mossy green effect again. I've been loving the mossy green. We're still talking about green eyeshadow. In general, green eyeshadow has been a favorite for me in January just because it's been part of my 100 days of makeup. And when speaking about green eyeshadows, I have to admit that I have learned to grow a new love for these products. They're expensive, but yeah, I understand that they're expensive, but they're helping me not buy more stuff because, first of all, let's go ahead and just talk about what they are. This is my Natasha Denona green brown eyeshadow palette and also my Natasha Denona gold palette. Looks like that. I am wearing the gold palette on my eyes today, and it's helping me to like tell myself that it's okay that I don't have the Huda Beauty Gemstone Obsessions palette. I really wanted that green one, and I realized that I don't need that green one because I already have this one. This one's better, especially combined with this one. And then I have so many other great like green shimmery shades in my collection. Not only that, but I don't wear green that often. So, you know, I've been making a point to wear green more often this month and prove to myself that I don't need that little green palette. And also, you know, I'm on my no-buy year, and I've told myself that I can't have that Melt Cosmetics Smoke Obsessions palette. That one looks really beautiful too. But I have this one. I have this one. Yeah, this one doesn't actually have straight up green, but you can get greens by mixing some of these shades in together. And I have like a bunch of ColourPop palettes that have a lot of beautiful greens in them too. So I don't need those palettes. I can be happy without having them. And if I had those palettes, that would mean I would have to use these palettes less often. And that's another thing that like I'm trying to kind of remind myself, which is just like, the more palettes you acquire, the less you get to use the beautiful palettes you already have. And wouldn't it be a shame if a palette this beautiful got used less than 100 times before it expired? And that's another thing I like to try to think about. It's just like, before you buy a new palette, can you use it at least 100 times before it expires? I mean, they're powder products, so they last a good 2 years. But can you use it 100 times within those 2 years if you have an eyeshadow palette collection of over 100 eyeshadow palettes? So I'm trying to give myself a little bit of makeup rehab, trying to appreciate the things that I have, and I'm realizing that like, just anytime you covet a green shimmery eyeshadow palette, and this one, by the way, in my green Serpentine Goddess eyeshadow look, this shade really kind of was the star of that show. It was so beautiful. And as you can see, I still haven't used this palette very much. I need to use it more because there's so many shades in here that are still very much untouched. So I think even after this no-buy year is done, that's going to be something that I learned this month in my first month of the no-buy year that I'm going to perpetuate into the future. Can I use an eyeshadow palette 100 times before it expires if I add it to my collection? I think that's going to be a really frugal and really smart way of looking into the future. I've been loving my Natasha Denona eyeshadow palettes, and they deserve more love. You know, I want to highlight them and put them up on the pedestal that they deserve to be put on. You know, I don't want to add eyeshadow palettes into my collection that are going to make me love these less, because I want to love these a lot because they're really expensive. This one's over $200. You don't need to buy these. Learn from me. If you have green shimmery eyeshadows that you love, don't feel like you have to add more. Make sure you love the ones that you have. You give them the love that they deserve before you're adding more, you know? This is a quick little thing I want to mention. I emptied out my last hand cream that I've been using, and I had this little guy kicking around in my collection for almost a year, over a year. And I finally opened it up and used it, and I love it. This is my Moroccan oil hand cream. It has that beautiful Moroccan oil scent. It's very moisturizing. It makes my hands feel so much better when I put it on. And I can't believe I spent a year holding this in my collection without ever using it. And I brought it to China with me, and it's already like half gone. So that's a favorite. I love this little hand cream. Oh, I can't believe I almost forgot to talk about this. One of my favorite January favorites was China. Going to China was a favorite, and it was so awesome. Like, I think it's really important to travel several times a year, every year. Try to go internationally as often as you can, you know? Even if you don't go as far as China, see how much it would take to just travel to the next closest foreign country, whether that's Canada or Mexico, or I don't know if you're in England, but you can go to the Netherlands or France. My goal for the rest of my life is to travel internationally at least twice every year. And yeah, I just went to China, and China wasn't like beautiful and perfect in every way, but I learned to love it for even its like dark sides, even its imperfect ways. I learned to appreciate Beijing specifically for its smoggy air, and I learned a lot about why it's so smoggy, about how China is like such a rapidly developing country, and it was fascinating to see that this is technically a communist country, but in so many ways that it was so capitalist, but also very free. Like, people are free to do, I don't know, anything that I would want to do. They seem to be free to smoke cigarettes wherever they want to. They can drink a beer wherever they want to. They can drink a beer for breakfast. They can take it with their beer with them to the grocery store. It's not a big deal. And in the States, like, you're not supposed to take a beer into public. You drink it at home or drink it in a bar. That was really cool. Of course, seeing one of the 7 wonders of the world, the Great Wall of China, was incredible. Learning about green tea and trying the Peking duck and learning about silk. And of course, another one of my favorites is my Givenchy silk scarf that I got in the Suzhou silk factory. You know, this is more than I like to spend on a scarf. I spent about $40. It was 140. It was like 138 yuan, which is around $40 USD. But yes, China was like super amazing. Even on this one day that me and Mike went out on the town in Hangzhou, I was feeling a little bit stressed out. You know, every time you go on a longer trip, you always feel a little bit stressed out at one point or another, thinking that like everything's going wrong, but it's all in your head. But that was the night that we kind of met up with some people from the tour, and we went out and checked out a great restaurant, and I finally got to try Chinese hot pot, which was so delicious and amazing. And then we went out and found, we had a hard time finding like good craft bars out in China, but that night we found a craft bar, and it was so much fun, and it was such a unique kind of place. It was like the kind of place that had, it was like tables inside of a liquor store, and like all along the walls was like coolers where you could pick out the beers that you want, and you just pick out the beer that you want, you open it up and you start drinking it, and at the end of the night, how many beers you drink is how many you pay for. It was such a unique experience. I might add a little clip of that to the end there, and it was so much fun. I got to know the people from the tour. I loved it so much. And it just got better from there, you know. The next day we went to West Lake, and it was so beautiful and picturesque. And then a couple days later, and the following day we went to Shanghai, and we went to go see a lot of beautiful art. And we went to the Bund, which was like their little little Europe, so like their little Western world, and we went to a little German brewery there that was like German car themed. That was so cool and different and weird. I didn't even know how to take it, but I loved it. It was so much fun. And then we capped it all off with a tour, like a riverboat cruise of Shanghai at night, so you could see all the buildings lit up, and it was like extreme the way that they light up the city and decorate it, and like every building is, it's like a, have you ever driven through one of those towns in a suburb somewhere during Christmas time, and every one of the neighbors tries to outdo each other with the Christmas lights? That's like the entire city of Shanghai. Like at night, every building has a different way to stand out. And like there was this one building that the way the lights were set up inside the buildings, the lights would go on and off to make it look like there was a butterfly flapping its wings. It's next level. But I loved it so much. It was beautiful, and it was less than $1,000 for the whole trip. Got to see 4 amazing, mind-blowing cities and fly as far away as possible to the other side of the planet, and it was incredible. And I learned so much about myself during that trip and about the world, and the world became bigger. I even went to a Sephora when I was in China just to see how it was different, because I understand that in China you can't have cruelty-free makeup, so that means no but there's no Too Faced, there was no Tarte, there was no Milk makeup, there was no Beauty, there was no Hourglass. There was like a lot of brands that were just completely missing, which was fascinating. And I love China. I'm so glad I did that. What an amazing experience, and I highly recommend it. I bought a Groupon, and I believe that same tour is still available on Groupon. So I'll leave a link down below. And I also used Ebates when I booked my Groupon, which also got me like $50 or $60 cash back. So if you want to do that, I'll leave my Ebates link down below. If you sign up using my link, you get like a $10 bonus, so free money, it's cool. We're saving money. Part of the reason I'm doing a no-buy year is so I can do even more traveling. I love traveling. And it's a good way to not buy new things because you're too busy experiencing life, which is awesome. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning into my January favorites. I had so much fun. This is my first monthly favorites I've ever done, and it was great. I think this is a great practice into appreciating the things that you have. Another thing I learned in China is this Chinese proverb. I forget exactly how it goes, but the essence of it is the key to happiness is not constantly wanting more, but learning to appreciate what you have. And I think that's great. Awesome. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Let me know down below in the comments what your January favorite, like your number one favorite thing in January. I think for me it's probably the China trip. That was probably my favorite. And green eyeshadow. China trip and green eyeshadow together. They're neck and neck. And in the comments what was your favorite part of January. And I look forward to seeing your responses. I think this is going to be a fun thing to talk about in the comments. So thanks so much for watching, guys, and I hope to hang out with you again soon. Bye. Oh, cheers.